Today I wanted to do a more blacksmithing focused video. So we're going to be forging a pair of scrolling tongs. And what a pair of scrolling tongs are is a pair of tongs that are used to put curls and bends into steel. I'm going to be making this because I have a couple more blacksmithing related projects in the future. One of those being I want to make a bunch of hooks. In order to make your hooks the same, I wanted to make a pair of scrolling tongs and be able to make a scroll at the end of all the hooks that are exactly the same. If you're new, welcome to my channel. Make sure you subscribe and like this video. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe because I upload a new blacksmithing or knife making related video once a week. So one of the best things about being the intern at the New England School of Metalwork, which is a welding school but also a blacksmithing school here in Auburn, Maine. The link to the school will be in the description below. You can take all sorts of blacksmithing and knife making classes there. Is that they have so many progression pieces like this to show you step by step of how to make everything. So what we're going to be doing is making a pair of scrolling tongs just like this, riveting them together. So let's start with the forge and let's get this project started. So I got the forge getting hot and I got 1/2 inch squared mild steel. So what we're going to do is heat the end of this up and start forging on this. The procedure to make this type of scrolling tongs is just about the same to make really any pair of tongs. Just like this, flat bit, just general pickup tongs. The only part that's different is that this is going to be round instead of flat like this. And the reason that we want it round for that is so we can grab tiny little pieces of metal and be able to curl it and make perfect curls. So I showed you the whole progression, so let's take a look at the steps in more detail. Now this is the first step, and simple enough. We're just going to be squaring and putting a point on the end of the bar. Start that point. Step 1 is complete. We put a point at the end. The next step is we're going to do a half-face blow and start this transition between the flat bar of steel and isolating what will then be the actual tong, the portion that grabs onto the steel. And in the same heat, we'll be able to take this piece, which will lay on the anvil like this, and hammer this down and be able to turn it on its side and go to the next step. So it's like this. We're going to turn it to the side and then smash it down. Smash it down at an angle. And this will start the boss of the tongs where it'll later be riveted together. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm bringing it over to the edge of the anvil and I'm going to do a half-face blow, which means I'm going to be half on, half off the anvil. And you can see that starts the transition between the bar and the point of the tongs. Start the process of rounding the edges. You can see I have it an octagon shape. Now let's move on to furthering that second transition. Alright, I got my steel out of the fire. So now with the transition down, I'm going to turn it to the left, 45-degree angle, and start a second transition. Let's get that back in the fire, and we'll do our next transition. Okay, so let's take a look at the next step. So right now we're right here. We've just started the transition to the boss of the tongs. And now we're going to isolate it right here. So the next step is do what we did here with the half-face blows to isolate the actual jaws. Now we're going to flip it around, bring it to the far edge of the anvil, and then hammer it down that way. Now we want to pinch off a square. We want to make the boss square. So I'll just using my eye, start that transition, see where we're at, starting that square. start drawing out what's going to be the handle. Alright, so you can see what I did there. Flattened that out. You can see it has a nice taper to the thickness. That's my hammer on the floor. So now I'm going to flip it around, go back to the boss, and smooth out that transition because you can see it's just a little slope, and I want this part flat. It'll make the tongs fit much nicer. Sparkling DIY. There. Give it a nice wire brush. Get some of that scale off. Okay, so here's our two forged pieces. They seem to go together pretty well. So now what we're going to do is drill our rivet holes. Drill a pin through each side. Now there's two ways you could do this. You could go the more blacksmithing route and punch a hole through this, or you could drill a hole. Now I want to do the method that most of you out there using this video to make these yourselves would probably have available to you. Now punching and drifting a hole is not super easy, especially when you're first starting out as blacksmithing. So I'm going to use a 3/16 bit and then put in a 3/16 rivet and rivet them together. Now if you don't have rivets, the easiest thing that you can do is taking a piece of round stock like this, upsetting the end so it mushrooms out, and then putting that through the hole and then upsetting this end to rivet them together. Take my tongs, I got my 3/16 rivet here, pull them together. Okay, now let's go ahead and rivet these together. So now what we're going to do, heat it back up in the forge, get it hot, close these jaws shut, right where we would be closing our hands, and then work them back and forth so they get nice and loosened up, and then quench them in water so they'll stay that way. Closing those jaws up. There we go, I think that's good. We need to overcomplicate it. Looks like it opens and closes fairly well. Let's see. The goal is to have the scrolling tongs to make the same little loop-de-loop every time. Around and let's crank it around the vise. Get it nice and good on there. And as you can see, they are not the same. But that's okay, that's why we keep practicing. But I now have this tool in my arsenal to make these hooks better and better every time. So what I want to be doing with these hooks is being able to replicate the same scroll every time. Now I believe I would have been able to do that had I had matched the thicknesses of both pieces. But again, this is why we practice. So I'm gonna keep cranking on these hooks and dropping them on the floor. Thank you guys so much for joining me and making these scrolling tongs with me. I hope you go out into your workshop and make them too. Also making these hooks. Make sure you subscribe to my channel to see more blacksmithing and knife making related videos. I make a new knife or a blacksmithing project every single week, so make sure you hit the bell to get notifications when I upload a video. Make sure you follow me on social media. My Instagram is @ZaneKnives. My Facebook is ZaneKnives. Make sure you check out my website, zaneknives.com, where you can buy anything that I make. These hooks I'll have available for sale on my website. You can hang your coat on them, you can hang your hat on them. So thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you guys in the next video.